with the tears in my eyes.
The cream of the crop. Acknowledge me.
Episode 363 of Top Rope Nation. Ryan Drosty, Jesse Velasquez, Justin Joint matching me here in the pink sweatshirt. Justin, how you doing tonight?
Oh, just great. I'm just over the moon about everything. Just couldn't be better.
Having a great week, are you?
Yeah. Everything's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
You got anything to drink tonight?
So I've been doing pretty good lately, as you know, a lot of our listeners know. I've been drinking a lot of NAs. That has gone out the window recently. I'm going to need you guys to not judge me tonight. We're doubling up. Yeah. I got the Elijah Craig and a Gable from Single Speed, my chaser, if you will. A full can of beer as my chaser.
I can't hate it too much. I like it. I respect it. Jesse, how you doing, man?
Life's okay. I had an interesting text message this morning where my son's going in for his second set of ear tubes tomorrow morning.
Oh, man. What happened to the first set?
I know the one had dislodged, so my assumption is that it fell out, but he's been getting reoccurring ear infections the last 2.5 months.
Well, that certainly defeats the purpose of those tubes, doesn't it?
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Well, are you coping with anything to drink tonight?
Well, since I'm getting an extra 2 hours of sleep, yes. I most certainly am. So I'm going with a tall boy. I could have really gone for it all and gotten a zombie dust, and that would have, I don't know how that made me feel. Tomorrow, this is an Indeed Flavor Wave IPA from Northeast Minneapolis.
Nice.
Okay. Nice.
I don't think I've ever had that.
It's tasty. I think it's 6.2, and I'm trying to remember if this has a little bit of a flavor. Trying to remember, like a grapefruit or something along those lines. I will let you know when I sip it.
Please do.
Very nice. Well, guys, we are a pro wrestling podcast.
Wait a second, mother effer. What are you drinking?
I'm getting to it.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We are. Justin's on edge.
Can't imagine why.
2 of those, yeah, the whiskey and the beer.
We're a pro wrestling podcast founded in 2016. Another jewel of a year that one was. We've been doing this for a little bit over 8 years, talking the latest in pro wrestling. And we like to do this segment, if you're new to the show, where we ask what's in the glass to start. So that's why we're drinking a little beer right now. And yes, I do have a beer, guys. I heard earlier today, actually, that it is National Stout Day. I don't know if you guys heard about this.
I did not know that.
No.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't have any stouts in my refrigerator, but I was just wanted to throw that out there. But I looked and looked. I thought maybe there was one hiding. There was not. I do have a Snorkel Squad by Hop Butcher Brewing out of Chicago. Justin, our local favorite liquor store, just got a bunch of their beers. They're all extremely good.
What was the brewery?
It's called Hop Butcher out of Chicago.
Keep an eye out.
This one's really good, but there's another one in a red can. I forget what it's called. It has a pizza on it. Really, really good. I mean,
do you have any good
hazies? 5-star beer. Yeah, this one is pretty hazy.
Wait, which one did you say was close to a 5-star beer? It's got what on the cover?
This one is too. It's like a red can. It's got a pizza on it. I forget what it's called, by Hop Butcher. But yeah, check them out. A good brewery. I think a lot of you out there would like them. So that's what I have in the glass tonight. And you guys see the names of our beautiful patrons going across the bottom of the screen right now. If you want bonus content from Top Rope Nation, you can find the link in the broadcast description to become a patron of the show. Over 160 bonus podcasts available and video right now. Last week, we just did a new TRN Classics episode. The video of that is posted. The audio is coming this week. So you can catch that very soon and dive into the archives. $5 a month gets you access to all of those great shows, gets you entered in merch drawings. You can get access to our special Facebook group. There's a members only Facebook group. We encourage you to join our open Facebook group as well. If you search Top Rope Nation Pro Wrestling Discussion on Facebook, you'll find that great bunch of people over there talking wrestling each and every day. And of course, if you're listening on the podcast feeds, guys, help us out. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating. And if you're here on YouTube, please click that like button right now. We would really appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel. Helps us out a lot in the algorithm. All right, guys. So let's talk a little pro wrestling. Let's talk something fun. Let's get our mind off of the world at large right now in a crazy time in the universe. And let's talk about men wearing tights pretending to fight. Nothing better to do in times like these. And let's talk about some big returns that happened. I do want to touch on Crown Jewel. I know we didn't do a post show for that. I did a Bleacher Report show. I'm going to kind of echo some of my thoughts. We'll hit that at the very end. I think a lot of our listeners lean AEW. So we'll start there. Kenny Omega returned to our screens a few days ago, but not in AEW, in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And Jesse, you're kind of our New Japan guy here. I had a chance to watch this very brief return, just a few minutes earlier tonight. I saw the headlines earlier this week, but it sounds like he's going to be making his return to the ring in Tokyo first. Jesse, give me your thoughts on this.
I was actually surprised. I thought it was going to be Kenny Omega and Hiroshi Tanahashi versus the Young Bucks.
Yes.
A Wrestle Dynasty. That had been rumored weeks ago. And it's coming out of the woodworks that he's going to be wrestling Gabe Kidd, who has had a pretty solid 2024. I think he's one of the more outspoken performers on the roster. So I think to see him back where he's extremely comfortable, where he made his name worldwide, was really nice to see. Selfishly, we would like to see him in America. I think that AEW could use him in spite of the fact that, I mean, there are a lot of people, or there's like a higher profile guys. They're doing a great job right now as well. But I mean, it never hurts adding one of your EVPs to the mix and making things a lot more interesting on television, especially when they've been asking for it. I guess I'll have one of you guys answer this question as well. What you're thinking about him is, when does he return to AEW? Would be the question. And then how's his health? I don't even know that either.
Yeah. Did you have a chance to see this at all, Justin, or see any clips from it?
All I saw was there was some of that backstage footage between Kenny Omega and Kidd that pretty good.
Yeah.
That was about it, though. I kind of saw the gist. Didn't see it, but I saw or read about, his promo that he gave. It seemed kind of, pretty clear-cut baby face. I didn't think there was a whole lot there. But pretty stunning that he's returning to New Japan, considering, AEW could really use that boost. As I've been kind of racking my brain all day trying to figure out, well, why New Japan? And I think it's, sorry.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say, I think it's twofold. Is one, he's a big enough star that he can call his shots for the most part, I'm sure. And maybe this is just how he wanted to come back. But I think more so it has to do with the story AEW is telling with the Death Riders against all these baby faces. And they're probably just not ready story-wise for Kenny to come back, because he's going to come back to a big pop, a big baby face pop. And it would be weird for him to come back and then just be kind of a sideline player to this main story they're telling. So I'm sure they have plans for him, and it's going to be against the Death Riders, and they're just not ready for him yet. They need to do the Orange Cassidy bit, maybe, a Darby feud with Moxley, and then it'll probably be Kenny time. My main concern, honestly, is I've been hearing rumors that, the Bucks are going to be gone for a while. And they think that they will eventually come back as conquering heroes to, save AEW. And Oh boy, if that's the plan, they're in for a bit of a surprise as to I think the crowd would react to that.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Do not like that.
Well, especially since they were the ones who beat the crap out of Kenny, put him, storyline wise, put him out,
Yeah, so I mean, if you guys don't remember, I mean, Kenny's been out since the end of 2023. He's been battling diverticulitis. I mean, he's gone through a lot of injuries in the last couple of years. But yeah, I mean, he looked in good shape. He came out, like you said, Justin. It was a very straightforward promo. He cut the beginning of it all in Japanese, and then he kind of summarized it in English afterwards. But essentially just said that New Japan Pro Wrestling is still where the best wrestlers in the world are, which I thought was kind of a strange line for the AEW guy to say. But talks about how he wanted to make his return in Tokyo. And he said something like he would be back real soon. And then, they shot that backstage angle with Gabe Kidd, as was mentioned, where they got in that brief brawl. And so, yeah, I mean, it looks like Wrestle Dynasty. It is a co-produced pay-per-view. If you look up the logo, you're going to see AEW's logo on that. You're going to see the CMLL logo on it. You're going to see New Japan, of course, Stardom, Ring of Honor. So this is a joint venture the day after Wrestle Kingdom 19. So it'll be on January 5th. So, I mean, I guess we technically can't say he's not coming back under the guise of AEW, but it's like a super show. And of course, it's not on North America, so the time of when it airs will be off a bit for us over here. I mean, I was a little surprised that he would do it over there first, given the wait of over 1 year to see him back in the ring. I'm super excited to see him back in there. We've talked about how over the last few months, we've kind of gone through some lulls with our pro wrestling viewing. At least for me, it's going to pick way back up here very soon for a multitude of reasons. I will be deep diving on pro wrestling again. But I mean, for me, as someone that could come back, that could really get me hooked on the product again, it's definitely Kenny Omega. And so I am jacked to see him come back. I think you made a lot of good points, Justin, as far as you don't want to bring him back just to bring him back if you don't have a place for him storyline wise. So that could definitely factor into it too. I mean, I think by late spring at the latest, he would be in a major storyline though. But yeah, I mean, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing him back, and he looked in great shape, maybe a little lighter than he had been in the past. Jesse, any thoughts?
No, I think it's definitely a fair assessment, and who knows just like how hard he can go, especially with what diverticulitis does to your body as well. So maybe he's had to change his weight training regimen up. I'm assuming he's had to change his nutrition up a bit, maybe even clean it up more than it was before. Because I mean, when he switched over to AEW, I think he got a little bit leaner even. So he was probably in the high single digits, low double digits in body fat. So maybe he's eating more just lean protein, sticking to more vegetables. I know he doesn't drink, so I mean that obviously helps his shape out as well. I do want to make one mention as well, because I did see it in the chat. I was gonna what shocked me as well about that whole power struggle card was to see Ricochet come in as a heavyweight when he's always been listed in the junior heavyweight division. When he left there to head to WWE and NXT, he was the most prolific junior, one of the most prolific juniors in the history of New Japan. That carries a lot of wave with Jushin Liger and the like. So to see him come back as a heavyweight was shocking to me. And it attacks Zack Sabre.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense considering, he's a much bigger deal now than he was before when he was previously in New Japan. They're in desperate need of stars, so he fills that role. And frankly, that's a pretty interesting combination, Zack Sabre Jr. and Ricochet in a match. I mean, talk about different styles. Also curious, Ryan, can we block or mute or shoot comments from YouTube people, because Pecker Patterson can fuck all the way off?
I think I did block him already. Hopefully.
Excellent. Thank God.
Yeah.
This is what happened when Tuesday nights go awry.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Weird.
Yeah. I don't know why that would happen. Let me get to this comment from Lady B that I think you're referencing, Jesse, here. So She said, I was very surprised that they didn't at the very least air a Kenny return video package on Wednesday. Agreed. They also didn't mention Ricochet, Zack Sabre Jr. NJPW seems to be AEW canon, but only when they want. Yeah, I mean, that is an odd choice to have that. It was like the day before. Wasn't it November 4th? Wasn't that the Power Struggle show that Kenny was on?
Yes.
Yeah, so it was like the day before, 2 days before, whenever that was. So, I mean, yeah, I was shocked by that as well. I mean, you would think that since it's a joint show, you would want to plaster that all over your television, something like Kenny Omega. But
Yeah, but
odd.
I think, like, wouldn't we be kind of disappointed if that was kind of Kenny Omega's return to AEW television is just some promo package? In this one instance, I'm really kind of okay with them keeping it separate. Because it'll just be more impactful if, like, you know, the AEW television audience who has zero idea that Kenny Omega is coming back, if it is just more of a surprise than, hey, Kenny Omega came back and cut some white bread, you know, promo in New Japan, and he's going to be wrestling in a couple months there, not here. I mean, it's just AEW wise, there's just not much to say right now, frankly.
And you're also, speaking of mentioning AEW or them mentioning New Japan and canon, when Tomohiro Ishii's been in the promotion here for the last few weeks, and it looks like he's going to be there for at least a few more after the result last night on Dynamite. So yeah, I guess it's just convenient to them to mention New Japan stuff when they want to, more or less.
Yeah. I think Andrew had a good chat here too. He said, how do we feel about that, having Wrestle Dynasty the day after Wrestle Kingdom? I think he's referencing. He says, I think Wrestle Kingdom is church, should be no piggybacking. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting choice because Wrestle Kingdom, you know, being for years now, the WrestleMania of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they piggyback on this the very next day. And now we know they've done the 2-night Wrestle Kingdoms, so that's been a thing as well. This year, Wrestle Kingdom 19 is just going to be a single night on January 4th, and then they'll go Wrestle Dynasty on January 5th, and then after that, I believe, I don't know what the date is on it, but they are going to be having New Year's Dash, which they've always done. It's kind of like their Raw after WrestleMania, New Year Dash. Sometimes they kind of set the scene for what's coming up next. I think Nakamura, when he left New Japan, he did like his big farewell on New Year Dash, if I remember right. So they'll be doing that. So I don't know. What do you think, Justin? Adding a show to the Wrestle Kingdom, you know, back to back.
It's kind of the same way I feel about like WrestleMania, whereas if my options are, you know, 2 nights of 3-hour shows each, or like 1 6-hour show, I'll take the 2 nights. And obviously New Japan has been doing the 2-night thing for a little while here. And I don't really like that at all, but I think if you can differentiate them a little bit, giving them different names, maybe, you know, different guys on each card, that's a little bit easier to swallow. But it's going to be interesting to see how these cards look, you know, when we get a little bit closer to it. Then I can't really form an opinion until I see how this year plays out.
And we've said this on the show too recently. I used to watch so much New Japan, and then when AEW started, I really only catch the mega big shows, like maybe 2 a year, to be honest with you. I'm gonna start watching it more again, I think, this fall leading into January, just so I'm more in tune with what's going on. I mean, that was one of when we brought Jesse on last summer, over a year ago now, as our third host. One of the big reasons we wanted Jesse is he does follow New Japan a lot more closely than us, Jesse. So this is heading into this new big show. You're going to be a great addition, I think, to our podcast.
I'm glad. I guess I was going to say with New Japan, I'm actually glad that that there's this change this year. I mean, New Year's Dash normally sets up the future and leads into Dominion, leads into the G1 Climax, the Best of the Super Juniors. So I think what I would have liked to have seen is just have a little bit more space. Maybe this Wrestle Dynasty card take place 2 weeks later. I don't know how the Japanese feel about it. Like, for example, All In and All Out for AEW. If they feel these back-to-back larger cards, even though it's interpromotional, where most of Wrestle Kingdom will be interpromotional, I don't know how they're going to feel about just the magnitude of just seeing American talent or North American talent come in the next night after such a huge event. And who knows if it's going to be Zack Sabre, it likely will be, or Shota Umino wrestling Ricochet for the IWGP Championship as well.
Yeah, so back-to-back nights again at the Tokyo Dome. Again, they've done that before with the 2-night Wrestle Kingdoms, but just a totally different branding for night 2. Going to be pretty interesting. So that's Kenny Omega. He's back in the scene. We'll be following that in the weeks ahead. But also, we got another big return on Wednesday night during Dynamite. I think all three of us were jacked to see this guy return. We have been talking about it on the show. You know, where is he? I mean, we were talking about it. Justin and I had a chance to go to Dynamite back in June, and we kind of saw him over on the side of the arena watching the show basically by himself, just kind of sitting there like, oh, there's Will Hobbs, you know, right there. And then I mentioned, I think on the podcast that when I attended Collision about almost 2 weeks ago now, I had two of my daughters with me, and we were walking by kind of the production area on the lower level, and he was just standing right there by the security barrier over by the production area. And he took a picture with my daughters, was super nice to us. And he sat there on a stool behind these curtains, peeking through, and watched the entire show over there. I mean, I got up a few times and always looked down there, and he was just sitting there on a stool by himself, watching the show. And he's been around for months now. So to see him come back in the main event, he's surprise tag team with Ricochet, I was jacked to see Powerhouse Hobbs back. Jesse, your thoughts on the return?
I'm in agreement. I liked how Ricochet set it up to saying that his contract with the Don Callis family expired on October 4th. And he's got a bone to pick with you guys. So yeah, the main event as a whole was a lot of fun. And I don't know where this is going to leave him too, because again, in such a crowded promotion with the Death Riders now going along with Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy and the likes. And then we've been talking a lot about Swerve and Ospreay and MJF and Hangman. They're off in larger feuds as well in the promotion. Does Powerhouse Hobbs get lost in the shuffle again? I have that concern coming down the road, but it is always nice to see him back because, yes, he's extremely talented, very personable, and I know, and I mentioned the personable part, fan-friendly, interactive. I mean, he retweeted me this spring. So, yeah, I definitely have a high praise for him and took pictures with your daughters, Ryan. So, yeah.
He said he couldn't say no to those two. He couldn't possibly say no to him. Those were those two. That was his words. Yeah, I mean, his last match was back in April. He injured his knee. I believe he had surgery, so he's been out for a while. That was a match with Moxley on Dynamite for the IWGP World Title. So almost 7 months, since we'd seen him in the ring. So definitely good to see him back. Justin, go ahead.
I mean, mainly just echoing what you guys have said. I really hope they've got a plan in place for him, and they weren't just like, hey, let's pop a rating or let's make a surprise, reappearance, and that they've got plans. They know what direction they want to go with him, whether that is just like, a short babyface run, because he is, I think, pretty beloved by AEW fans. So there's no way he wasn't going to get a pop when he came back, and maybe save like a heel turn down the road a little bit. He can feud with Ricochet since Ricochet was the one who kind of brought him back. There's also part of me that wants to see him be the one to dethrone Jack Perry. But even then I'm kind of torn because there's also Daniel Garcia right now. They need to commit to some of these homegrown guys, at least one. They need to commit to one of them in a big, big way. I think that was part of the problem there for a while with AEW is they lost their way with pushing people that I think the AEW crowd didn't really care all that much about, who they didn't feel like actual elite guys. And Powerhouse Hobbs is one of those guys. Daniel Garcia is one of those guys. As much as, I know you guys aren't thrilled at the prospect of Darby being maybe the one to dethrone Moxley, he's one of those guys. And they really, really need to get behind them to differentiate themselves from the competition. And honestly, just to prove that they can do it. Not that they haven't before, obviously, with Hangman and MJF, but they need to keep doing it. I just hope they got plans.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they got to do something different. With the last few months, clearly, live attendance, ratings, we talked about it on the show. They got to change it up a little bit. And I think going with those homegrown guys is probably the way to go. And that was kind of going to be my next question is, if you're changing up booking and you're going to push some fresh new faces in some of those title pictures, like the TNT title picture, eventually the world title picture, who do you go with? And I think what you said, Justin, is right. It does appear like Darby is probably going to be in that world title picture, whether he wins it or not. I mean, that's kind of the direction. I don't think Orange Cassidy is going to be beating John Moxley at Full Gear. Spoiler alert. So I think, and then, they have so many options in the world title picture. I think what I'm more, not that I'm not interested in that, but we've talked about, all these guys in waiting, Swerve, obviously Ospreay, Hangman, all these guys need world title runs in the next year. But I'm really interested in what they do in that TNT title picture, because it really used to be a good showcase. If you look back at the history of some of the people that have had it, like Darby, that can be a pretty major part of the shows, and they have guys that they can kind of build up through there. Like if Hobbs got that again, becoming this unstoppable force until they have a time to put him in the world title picture, and they could do captivating feuds for the TNT title. And get some of these guys featured that have kind of disappeared for a long time in favor with some other guys where it just really hasn't worked out. So I think this roster is as deep as ever. You don't want people to get lost when you bring them back. You got to have a purpose for them. So, I mean, that's going to be a concern for sure. But I hope Hobbs is a major part in the top half of the card moving forward.
Do you guys have a preference as to who you would want to see pushed as far as Darby and Hobbs and Garcia, who or anybody else? Who's the standout? Who's the one you not only want to see but think could actually carry the ball?
Talking on the tippy top?
Not necessarily. At least TNT for now. I don't think any of those guys are really probably ready to be, the face of the company. But the right booking, I think they could be.
Yeah, I think. And I had mentioned this months ago, where Tony Khan kind of picks and chooses a minor belt and just turns it into the hot potato, or just gives a nice run and gives, for example, Darby with the TNT championship, Cody Rhodes had the open challenge for so long. Then the international title became the IT championship. And I think it is right now with Takeshita as well. Excuse me. I felt that when Kingston held the Continental Classic or the Continental Championship, I thought that was the number 2 belt for a little while. He was doing such a magnificent job. I thought Okada was going to carry that torch, and that has completely fallen flat because he just became buddies with the Elite, which, by the way, they established Okada last night as trying to break a record of Masahiro Chono with all those G1 climaxes plus just tournament victories too. So with the Young Bucks kind of being cast aside, maybe Okada, whether he wins the C2 or not, which if he loses it, you elevate him to the top. That's a possibility too. So it's going to be a matter of, like you said, choosing somebody to run with that ball. And I don't really have an answer other than the established guys already, like the Hangmans. Who would I choose? I don't really know if Daniel Garcia is ready for that spot either. So I have to rack my brain and think about it.
I would throw Fletcher in there too, who a big upgrade with just the change in his appearance.
Yeah. So what you're telling me, Jesse, is they have way too many title belts. when you can't figure out what really is the secondary title. I mean, it's pretty ludicrous to have a TNT champion, an international champion, a continental. I mean, that's just way, way too much. I loved one of my favorite things about AEW when the promotion started was it was like WWF used to be. You had the world champion, you had the TNT champion, your IC champ, and you had the tag champions. That's all you need in wrestling. Everybody
Mhm.
knows what's important. Then you got the clear setup title for your next big guy with the TNT, and just adding those other ones. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not at all. I mean, international and continental, they sound exactly the same almost. Jesus, like on the surface, the name is just not good. So yeah, you're right. They have really kind of shimmied those around. Which one really is the top secondary title? I mean, I think if you look at the names of who has it, you would say Continental, just because Okada is the biggest name there. But I would like to see the TNT title, honestly, just get that positioning again, just because it has the longest lineage in the
Mhm.
company. Look, I mean, I know he's not there anymore, but I mean, the longtime fans remember Cody being there with it, and so I mean that carries weight now that he's the top guy
Brody.
in the rival promotion. So I think that really should be the secondary title moving forward. And as far as the names go, I wouldn't say I have a preference right now. I mean, if you're being super, very superficial about it, Hobbs has the look of a top guy compared to all those other guys. Like he's
Yeah.
the one that, to me, if you're trying to bring in fans that are just curious, he's the one that's going to jump off the screen. I love Daniel Garcia. I think he's an awesome wrestler. He doesn't have the look that people traditionally want in pro wrestling as far as like the non-hardcore fans go. He's not the guy that like people are going to stop the channel and be like, oh wait, who's this dude? Hobbs has that. And that means something in wrestling. It does. Like for me watching the matches every single week, I might want Garcia to be the guy. But if you're trying to appeal to the broadest audience, it might be Hobbs. So I mean, it just kind of depends on how you're looking at it. Of the names that you mentioned, Justin.
I mean, it's a good problem to have. I think they have solid options. I just hope they roll with one of them. Jack Perry is not doing it for me right now as TNT champion. I don't know how long they can keep that going. So might be sooner rather than later to pull the trigger on a new TNT champion.
And this is exactly where Ricky Starks would have fit in beautifully right about now. But of course, he's not being held hostage, but he's definitely griping a little bit backstage to the point where he's being held off of television. So I think he would have been my undisputed answer months ago. But
yeah,
that ship sailed, unfortunately.
I mean, how many times have we sat here on this show and talked about Ricky Starks and all the especially a little over a year ago when he really did get elevated in that feud with Punk. I mean, that really, you
then
thought
Danielson.
set him up to be a top guy again. What's that?
I was in Danielson.
And then Danielson right after that. Yeah, the best strap match of all time, arguably.
Honestly wonder how much, and I don't agree with it, but I wonder how much he may have shot himself in the foot with that promo when Danielson and Edge were in the ring. Excuse me, Adam Copeland. And he took some, I think, unscripted shots at Copeland, who I didn't look like took it very well. And I'm wondering if that made Tony, between that and his relationship with Cody, if that's why Tony was a little hesitant to, really push Ricky, is that he just didn't trust him, kind of like, Swerve gained Tony's trust by putting on great matches, making moments, and probably for the most part, doing what needed to be done. There's a little bit of going into business with yourself when it comes to what Ricky kind of going digging on Copeland, especially Copeland had just gotten in, to the organization. So I don't think that's a good reason to not just push him, but I think that probably is the reason.
Yeah. It's a fair assessment. I think I'm going to go with a name that Justin just mentioned, Kyle Fletcher. Let him be that face of the TNT championship. Let him run with it. I don't know how he acquires it because he's a heel right now and he's going to stay that way for a while. But I think, again, with the look and everything else, and by the way, I'm going to throw this hybrid in here to see if I can get Ryan to pop. He looked like the Viper last night. You could call him Kyle Orton.
Oh, no. No.
He grows the neck beard, maybe. Oh man.
Purdue's finest, Kyle Orton.
Yep. Yep. Forget what small town in Iowa he was from too, man. Kyle Orton. Who'll ever forget the pictures of that guy doing shots at Jack during the Bears bye week in Iowa City? What a time to be alive. What a time. Just all over his shirt. Oh my God.
He broke out a slingshot DDT last night. Kyle, or I almost called him Kyle Orton. Kyle Fletcher did.
We're just going to start calling him Kyle Orton.
Why not have him be the one take the title off of Ospreay? Like maybe, you do a trilogy with these two, have Ospreay take the first one, and then eventually Fletcher is the one who takes the international title off of him, which can lead to Ospreay going after the world title. That would be a pretty big boost for Fletcher to kind of come out of that feud technically as the winner.
Well, you'd have to beat Takeshita now.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Damn it.
Again, too many titles.
Yeah.
Too many damn titles.
That's been my guy for the last year.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be the easy answer too, but I still think he's just handicapped being with Don Callis, so I can't put him as that next person.
And also Kyle Fletcher. Justin and I really dug this. It was so weird, by the way, but he came when they did Collision here in Iowa. He came to do promotion a couple of days before the show, and he did this segment on the local news where he was doing the weather. It was hilarious. Then he wasn't even on Collision. What the hell? They just sent him in to do a couple media spots, but he was very good doing that. And you need guys who are comfortable in that environment, who can go on local news shows and stuff like that and be captivating and funny like he was, and drawing some curious eyeballs. So I mean, yeah, I think Fletcher's is a great guy in that role too. Again, lots of directions they could go. Do you guys have anything else from AEW do you want to talk about at all? Just throw it out there before we shift to WWE.
Not since I just put my foot in my mouth. I'm good.
I didn't want to correct you, but I just know
please,
one of our listeners, one of our listeners would, and then they're like, oh, "Do you three know what's going on?" No, it would have came up in the Facebook group for sure.
I have a couple of gripes. I've been saying this for a while now with the kick out of finishers. I'm really, it's getting so bad. That's number one. It's turned into New Japan. I think New Japan kind of started this whole thing, but the only reason I say this is the renewed push of Adam Cole since he returned. And while I understand that I do understand from some fans' perspective, but in that building last night when Malachi Black hit the end or Black Mass 2 count, the crowd groaned, audibly groaned, and were kind of quiet. And Malachi just sat there for like 20 to 30 seconds, just like he kicked out of that. And the crowd was just sitting on their hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all three of us really haven't been that high on Adam Cole the last year. I mean, this is even pre-injury. So, I mean, we kind of saw this coming. But then the finish as well, with Malachi looking super confused and looking at Adam like, can you end this, please? And he hits his finisher. And there's a controversy today about him looking like he's going to leave, which is fine. We're okay with that. But then he goes on Instagram and says, I'm not leaving. Just a whole lot of confusion. And yeah, I could say something else. I'm not going to. I'll wait for a Patreon episode to go in depth a little further on Adam Cole.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, that match was really weird. And by the way, I also called him Aleister Black during the match. I was watching it with my kids that went to Collision with me, and I just called him Aleister Black. And my oldest daughter, who loves to correct me, Justin, looked at me and she's like, who are you talking about? Who's Aleister Black? And I was like, oh, sorry, Malachi Black. Yeah. But yeah, it was weird because it seemed like it was a send-off at the end of the match. And apparently it was not. That he's going to keep wrestling for AEW, so I don't really know what the deal there was. He's at least under contract through the rest of this year, but yeah, he's not, like, his deal's not done right now, and they're not just letting him leave. So odd finish.
Oh, it was super odd, as Andrew said. What about that messed up finish? Yeah, Malachi standing there for 15 seconds, looking at Adam like, "Are you like, do something? Hit your finish, please." Justin, go watch it seriously.
Yeah. You'll come away saying, not fucking good, Jesse. Not fucking good. We really need a t-shirt that says that.
I dropped that line at work today.
Nice. How'd they react?
Somebody was asking me how I was doing or something along that lines. And yeah, not fucking good.
And of course, I should add this in, the return of Will Ospreay last night, which was really nice to see after selling the Tiger Driver 93 from Wrestle Dream. So obviously he's probably going to be heading right back into a feud with Fletcher.
I mean, Full Gear's looking pretty good right now. I didn't even hate how they set up Swerve and Lashley, because it leaves a lot of room to keep building up that feud, leading up into the event. They, left a lot on the table. So should be a pretty good show, as they always are.
Yeah, I think the build for this show has been better than some of their pay-per-views. We always talk about on the show where they turn it on a week before the pay-per-view. We're about 2 weeks now, but yeah, they've been building us up well, I think, longer term than usual for AEW. So got to give them props on that. I think the storytelling in the promotion is getting better. For all the criticism throughout the year, I think they're improving the narratives on these shows week to week.
Jimmy Jacobs, addition by subtraction.
Yep.
I think Takeshita beats Adam Cole next week, which is going to lead to MJF Roderick Strong at Full Gear. I think they hold off on MJF and Cole, maybe to World's End, because it's the year, just kind of the year-long cycle where Adam revealed himself to be the devil. So, and there has to be some sort of, I don't want to say retribution, but just some sort of roadblock for Adam Cole, especially just coming back from injury. Having him go through 2/3 of the House of Black, really making them look inferior. That did not sit well with me. And while I understand that there is a little bit of controversy behind them, that maybe they're malcontents backstage at the same time. I mean, they're super talented too. So they're two guys. If I were booking a promotion and they were playing nice, I'd book them over Adam Cole.
Yeah, I would. Agreed. All right. Shift to WWE. All right. No, Justin, seriously though, I have a big question for you here. I'm throwing this out for the people that always comment on our shows in the Facebook group. All right. Justin, did you have a chance to watch WWE Crown Jewel?
I had chances. I could
not take those chances, I'm guessing.
I did not take those chances. Although I honestly do want to watch Cody and Gunther. I put it off,
I think that match is very good.
Really?
I mean, okay. I was on the live stream on the BR app during it, so I wasn't paying super close attention. I went back and kind of watched it again, but it was like a decent match, but it was pretty average personally. I don't know. Jesse, your thoughts on it?
Oh no, is 3-star Cody back?
I gave it 3.5. So to me, that's like it's a good match, but it's not like a 4-star match. I didn't think or anything like that. It was fine. It wasn't like I had higher expectations, to be honest with you. I'll be curious what you think when you see it, Justin.
I had mixed feelings on the end. At first, I was disappointed and not happy that Cody won. I felt this would be the time for like Gunther to get the elevation, and then, but in a hypocritical way, what we've been saying for 2 decades is the WWE, are they actually going to push their top babyface? This is a promotion that's devoid of babyfaces, and they actually gave the top babyface the win. So I kind of retracted my statement. I'm like, all right, this makes sense. So, and Cody, for whatever reasons, had Gunther's number, I think, ever since Rumble 23 when he threw him out.
Yeah, I didn't like the finish. I was right there with you. I see what you're saying about really going all the way with the top babyface and everything, but like Gunther's a guy who doesn't lose, who like just became world champion. And Cody doesn't lose anything. He doesn't lose any steam if he takes the fall. So I wasn't a huge fan of that. It was kind of a shock finish, just kind of came out of nowhere. It was fine. I agree with the chat here. where Sean said the match shouldn't have happened anyways. Yeah, this is exactly like, this stupid title that they have where, then they took it. It stays in Saudi Arabia, by the way. They immediately took it over to that like miniature museum they have at the whatever the place is called, WWE Experience or whatever. It's like they walked the belts over there. It's a pointless belt. You'll never hear referenced again until next year. And you're doing one of the top matches that you could possibly do in your promotion, the two world champions. This is exactly like when they used to do it at Survivor Series, just because they had to do the match. Like, remember they did Drew and Roman at Survivor Series? It was like, what a waste. This is like the best top tier match at the time they could do. And they did it just because they had that tradition of doing world champion versus world champion at Survivor Series. And it's kind of surprising because they've gotten away from this stuff under Hunter, to give him credit. They got rid of the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view and they only brought it out when a feud necessitated Hell in a Cell, like with Drew and Punk. They've gotten away from the routine shows where it's like, oh, that time of the year for the Extreme Rules matches, that time of the year for Hell in a Cell. But here, this is one of those things where it's going to be like that time of the year. Saudis are paying all this money, so we got to do world champion versus world champion in the middle of the afternoon on a Saturday when everybody's watching college football. I agree with Sean. I did not like that the match even happened to begin with.
You're getting zero arguments from me there. Yeah, definite throwback to those horrible Survivor Series years. Brand superiority, which also, in my mind, claims that they deem one world champion superior to the other, which we've been trying to get away from, which they got away from, and then they had to add that stupid effing world championship last May.
Yep.
Are you serious? Yeah, this is exactly why 80s, 90s, and 2000s WWE and F is superior to anything from 2010 to 2020. For all of those people who have PFPs, that would be, I think, what are those profile pictures of Roman Reigns and CM Punk and Rhea Ripley. Go back and do your history. Go back and, go view that first, please.
Yeah.
One world champion, not two.
Yeah. I was so happy when they got away from it.
Yeah.
And then they had to just do that. Ugh.
I mean, in a way, there still is just one world champion. They obviously don't take Gunther seriously or that title belt, because that's the weird. I totally agree. It's so dumb to put on that match, but if you're going to do it, make it interesting. Like if I had seen the results of this show and Gunther had beat Cody, I would have probably watched it 3 times by now, even if it was a shit match, just because, oh wow, this is interesting. Babyface loses and, that could make for a pretty good storyline, but nope. Cody got his Dynamite diamond ring, so good for him.
So did you see the whole show, Jesse?
No. I'm glad I missed the Liv Morgan Nia Jax match.
Yeah, that was not fucking good, to quote Justin. It was not fucking good. It's very sloppy. I mean, it was just the thing where, you got Liv and then Nia and Liv's doing this like David versus Goliath match, and she's just not good enough like for that. Also she's a heel, so like the dynamic just doesn't work. That was not a good match. The show as a whole, I think I gave it a C on the show we did on Bleacher Report right afterwards. It was fine. It wasn't a bad show. There was nothing that I would go out of my way to watch again, even the main event. There was nothing that was egregiously bad on the show by any means, other than Liv Morgan and Nia Jax. That wasn't like the worst match I've ever seen. It wasn't great, but it was whatever. I didn't have high expectations going into that one, so it basically lived up to what I expected. I thought Seth and Bronson Reed was a pretty damn good match. It was just, I know it took like the multiple stomps to get the win. I still wouldn't have beat Bronson Reed though. I mean, that's another circumstance where it's like Seth Rollins loses nothing by losing to Bronson Reed. And so I didn't really like that.
Agreed.
I really did like the women's fatal 4-way tag match. I thought that match was pretty fun. I thought there were some creative spots in it. I mean, I think that There was some talent in that ring. I mean, I think Io Sky, talked about her on the show a lot. She's awesome. Kairi Sane is awesome. I thought Lash and Jakara were really good in that match too. Chelsea Green is super entertaining. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is not like a 4-star match either, but it was very entertaining for what it was. I thought that match was pretty fun. Did you see that one, Jesse?
I did. Yeah, you're getting zero arguments from me there. Yeah, Chelsea Green in her character is great.
Yeah, really good. So the opener, Roman and Jay and Jimmy against the new bloodline, Solo, Jacob Fatu, and Tama Tonga, was not good. It was a snooze fest. I was so bored during that match. 16 and a half minutes felt like 32 minutes, felt like double that. I mean, I understand the finish to have Solo pin Roman just for all of the reasons we've talked about in the show before. Like, he's just not viable in that role to me as the lead guy of the new bloodline still. So they want to put him over to get that pinfall in Roman. So that didn't really surprise me that much. I understand why they did it. I just thought the match itself was not great. The aftermath with Sammy coming out was good. That was really good.
Is that where he accidentally hit Roman, or was that Raw?
No, that would have been Raw.
Raw, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So it was. Go ahead.
That ship has sailed with Solo Sikoa. Yeah. In my personal opinion, I like I said, I get it. World Wrestling Entertainment. I get what you're trying to do. Pepperidge Farms doesn't forget that he was like 3-18 in his last 21 singles matches before 3 or 4 months ago. You can't fool me.
Yeah. No, so that was. Yeah, that, I mean, it was fine. They're building up to that again. You're talking about the haluva kick, right? Yeah,
Me?
no, yeah, that was on Crown Jewel. Yeah, never mind. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, it was. The aftermath was fine. I guess that's the story of the match. The match isn't what people are going to be talking about. They're going to be talking about what they did afterwards. But I don't know. It wasn't the most thrilling way to start the show. Orton and Owens didn't even have a match. They just had the brawl. LA Knight, Andrade, and Carmelo was a pretty decent match too. No surprises really there. So, I mean, the show as a whole, it's not something you really need to go out of your way to see if you didn't see it. I think you can read the results and be fine. No match of the year contenders. Nothing like that. Not egregiously bad. C show as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Sean brings a valid point with Andrade and Carmelo having those 7 matches. What was the reason behind it if they're just going to lose the United States in the United States Championship? But, I mean, that's kind of World Wrestling Entertainment logic. So, while Triple H has improved in some areas in his booking, there's also some areas that he's kept status quo from the previous booker. Just saying.
Yeah. There are some entertaining chats going on tonight.
I wanted to go back to the Shelton Benjamin being a main eventer one, because I don't think he should be.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
I mean, I like Shelton Benjamin a lot, but I mean, not at this stage in his career. I really liked him 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. So no, you're getting zero arguments from me there. I mean, Bobby Lashley has always been presented as the main eventer. I mean, Shelton, I feel, is the better athlete in this aspect. I don't know who has more personality between the two. I mean, that's why MVP is their mouthpiece as well. So, I mean, he cut a really good promo last night for those guys.
Yeah. So that's Crown Jewel. I got my match ratings up on our Patreon page, so you guys can check that article out if you're interested. The link is here in the broadcast description. I want to read one of the comments I got on the match ratings article on Patreon. That's our guy Dante. He said, "I was thinking before I read your review that if you rate any match more than 3.5 stars, you must have been drinking one too many." He says, "This is why TRN is my online wrestling home." Well, yeah, because 3.5 was the highest I went, and that was for the main event with Gunther and Cody, which it was fine. Again, I had higher hopes for that one though. So, hey, you guys got any questions for us before we go? The chat room is popping tonight. So if you guys have any questions, anything at all wrestling related you want us to talk about, let's do a little Q&A. Throw them out to us. Anything you want us to talk about, give you a couple minutes. We got a super chat.
Oh,
here we go. Sean says, should Swerve be losing again? Jesse, strong visual response to that.
No, but he's going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Justin nailed it with John Moxley when he re-emerged as a heel. Yeah, Bobby Lashley in his debut match as a heel is likely going over Swerve Strickland, and I honestly have no qualms about it. I just feel horrible for Swerve. So, but
Swerve he will win the feud, but this is just the beginning of it, and I have a feeling it will maybe be because of shenanigans. Perhaps like a new member of Hurt Syndicate could be the one to cost Swerve the match. We've talked about a million times. Swerve's a made man now. He's not going to be hurt at this point by losing one match to Bobby Lashley. I'm not a huge fan of it, but he'll be fine.
Yeah, he's definitely taking the. I think it's fine though when you're bringing in a guy who's known throughout the business like Bobby Lashley, who's been a big star on the other company. Yeah, he's not going to lose anything by losing to him. I think it's probably the right booking move. It's not optimal, but if you're going to throw him into that feud, I think you have to do it.
Thoughts on AEW shutting down in 2026, guys?
When they're getting almost $200 million a year, I don't think that's going to be happening.
What a moron.
I don't think
so. We get those every now and then.
Yeah.
But thank you for discovering our stream.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Whoa.
Let's see.
Ooh, we kind of touched on this one. Was that a couple weeks ago?
We did.
I think night 2 is the question is early WrestleMania main event.
Oh, okay,
night 1 and 2 predictions. I think night 2 has to be Roman and Rock. Night 1, I would probably lean towards maybe Punk Rollins, I guess. Although I don't know where that leaves Cody. I also don't really give a shit where that leaves Cody, but I feel like Punk was maybe made some promises as far as a WrestleMania main event.
Oh, is he going to get the "You Deserve It" claps while he goes out there?
Participation awards, night 1.
Participation award for CM Punk. Here's your WrestleMania main event on night 10. No,
buy one get one.
Yeah, the buy one get one. I was going to throw out Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill as a possibility if they want a women's match. I mean, I think that's one of the big matches they're going to be building towards with this tag team run. And Bianca's been in the main event spot before. I think ideally they would hope that could main event one night, but we'll see what happens with Jade. And
I was going to say, I don't know if you can trust Jade in that spot. I love Bianca and I'm all for her main eventing, but Jade, I got some question marks.
They dropped the ball. Sorry. They dropped the ball on Bianca and Rhea so bad. I mean, that would have been the perfect WrestleMania 41 night 1 main event.
The only reason to have Bianca Belair in a tag team for this long is to do that match on a huge stage. But yeah, true. I mean, like I said, there will be concerns with Jade and how much her in-ring progresses. There was a spot in that Fatal 4-Way tag match where she missed her kick by about 1.5 feet. That was a not great spot during the match. But if she keeps improving, and they think that she can handle it, I wouldn't be shocked at all if that would be in contention for that spot. But you're probably right about Punk, given that he missed it last year and everything. So
what would your guys' I mean, I'm assuming you agree with night 2, but what would your night 1 predictions be?
So you're saying we agree with Rock and Roman night 2?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're probably right that it probably will be Punk, but I wonder if they want a women's match in that position. That's my only thing.
The only one big enough.
Yeah, I mean, I just like what I said. Bianca and Jade would be one that might be in contention, but that depends on how the next few months play out.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, no. I'm starting to lean Justin's way. Would be Punk Rollins. But then again, where does that leave Cody? Because I'm starting to think he's gonna have the World Championship in April. He's gonna headline. I get it, Justin.
Unless he drops it at the Rumble. I mean, I gave you guys a scenario a few weeks ago. I would not be shocked at all not at all if he dropped that title to Rock at the Royal Rumble. I would not be shocked.
Vomit.
And Rock carried it into WrestleMania to fight Roman. I would not be stunned. We'll see.
I guess, I think the most interesting thing they could maybe do is you don't switch the title, keep it on Cody. You do Rock Roman just as a feud, but you do that on night 1. In night 2 for the title is Cody Punk, with the story or the question being one of these guys is Breaking Bad. And which one is it going to be? And whichever one is Breaking Bad is the one that's going to win the title. That could be compelling.
Okay, Andrew here. Cody versus Jacob Fatu, book it, cowards. If Cody's not in the title picture, I would love that match to be on this show. I think that'd be a great spot for Cody. I mean, that'd be great positioning for Jacob Fatu, who's a guy who has a high ceiling, we think. But, I mean, just think about it. I know it's not, if Cody dropped the title to Rock, I know that's not the title that's on Netflix. But, dude, they're going to be loading up those Netflix Raws with stars starting in January every single week. They're going to want Rock on some of those shows. And let's not forget how awesome he was when he was back last year. I know he's an older guy now, and we usually don't like stars from the past stealing thunder from younger stars. He was one of the best things in WWE this last year. I'm going to be real honest with you. I thought he was so entertaining when he was back, and the final boss gimmick and everything. It was so well done.
Andrew, I've been drinking. I do not want to talk about Punk and Rock. I saw you bring that up right there. Meanwhile, I was going to say, yeah, if Rock were to pull that off on Cody, what he did to Punk 12 years ago, both Cody and Phil could go cry about it in a coffee shop because Phil doesn't drink.
Yeah, true. What else we got here? Is Cody versus Randy a WrestleMania worthy match? I mean, they could have done it at SummerSlam. I still think that would have been the preferable SummerSlam match versus Solo. I mean, the only reason they did Solo is because Roman was going to be coming back. But even so, I wasn't a huge fan of that match at SummerSlam. I'm still not, a few months later. I think that would have been the preferable match for SummerSlam.
Orton stinks too, so.
For a championship, no. I think for just a one-on-one match, yeah.
Yeah.
Orton's had like a billion matches in WWE and like 3 memorable ones, so hard pass.
Sean had asked earlier what we think about Tiffany Stratton's character right now, and the teasing the cash-ins all the time and all of that. I mean, it's fine. The crowd pops for it. It's not that captivating to me, but if the crowd likes it, I can't complain too much. I mean, every time she comes out and teases the cash in, they start getting pretty loud. I mean, that's your WWE audience. They want the moment. They want to see it. So I think it's working fine for her right now. You guys, Jesse?
Yeah. And I agree with Sean as well that she's not a natural baby face either. So, but yeah, again, if the crowd's accepting of it, sure. But then they're going to have to make a decision once she does cash in and ultimately win, because I think she will.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the right move. So, yeah, Netflix supposedly asked for Cody, Roman, Punk. I heard that as well. But when Rock comes back, I mean, I think they don't hold true to this brand split. If he's a SmackDown guy and he's overdoing the bloodline stuff, I mean, obviously Roman too. They're gonna bring him over. They're gonna have guys going back and forth just to be on Netflix. I mean, they're paying him a ton of money, so billions. They're gonna be delivering star power, because think about it. When you turn on Netflix and that home screen comes up, given the amount of money they have invested in this, it's gonna be the first thing you see. And so they're going to have general public familiar faces to get people to click on it and try watching it. People that aren't wrestling fans right now. So you're going to want Dwayne Johnson there. Roman has a little bit of crossover appeal. Of course you're going to want Roman. So, and Punk has that too. He's been around for a long time. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. I mean, they're going to stack those shows starting in January.
I like that AEW question about them booking Hammerstein Ballroom. I think that'd be awesome.
I mean, that's one of those things we've said is they need to be booking these unique venues that aren't super big, that they can fill up, that look unique on television.
Like NXT did last night.
Mm-hmm.
the 2300 ECW Arena.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that, but then Justin, what would your thoughts be on AEW having a pay-per-view at Yankee Stadium? Because that was also the other part of that question.
I mean, all my favorites would probably lose there, so hard pass.
God. We'll see how Texas goes first for that, and how what kind of card they draw there. Jesse, didn't they just announce NXT's doing a show in Minneapolis at a unique venue?
I did not hear this.
I believe it's the night after. There's a SmackDown up there on December 6th.
Yes.
I think it's the next night. Is it Deadline? It's at like the Armory or something, I think.
Is
I
it?
think this just came out today. Let me look it up. Yeah, the Minneapolis Armory, December 7th.
Whoa. I would much rather go to that than go to SmackDown.
I mean, that's
seriously.
Is that the venue that you went to ECW at back in the day?
That was Roy Wilkins.
Oh,
which is
Wilkins.
connected to XL.
Yeah. Okay.
Armory's got awesome acoustics. Like I mentioned that earlier when we were talking about Wale Mania, where I'd like to have it, but that ship sailed too. So, no, I think, dang, I might actually go to that show.
Yeah, I mean it's a Saturday. I thought about it too, but it's the weekend of my daughter's birthday, so I'm probably out. But that would be fun. So yeah, that's I think they just announced it this week. So I mean, only a month in advance. But yeah, Minneapolis Armory.
That would be awesome. Okay,
looks like a decent sized building.
It is. It's bigger than First Avenue, like I mentioned. So they'll be able to see quite a few. And hey, I'll get to see Trick Williams and Ethan Page.
Yeah. All right, guys. There's a lot of other chats. I don't think we probably don't have time to get to all of them tonight, but we appreciate the interaction. We got to wrap here. So, any closing thoughts, you guys? We'll do another Q&A next Thursday. How about that? So you guys tune in next Thursday. Have the questions ready, and we'll do another Q&A. We try to do it sometimes when we don't have the live audience as high as it's been tonight. So really, really appreciate you guys. These shows are way more fun to do when we got the live chat popping like tonight. So thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment. Thank you so much. Love interacting with everybody who's listening.
Yeah.
Truly appreciate it. This is one of the best night crowds we've had in months. So thank you.
Yes. So get in that Facebook group, guys. It's open to everybody. Search Top Rope Nation Pro Wrestling Discussion if you're on Facebook. You can also follow us. We're on Twitter. I'm on Blue Sky a lot more recently. We have a Threads account as well. We all have accounts and most of the places, Instagram, everything like that. Subscribe here on the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Check out the podcast feed. And then, yes, the number one way to support us is by becoming a patron. Greatly appreciate your support on patreon.com/topropenation, or you can become a member here on the YouTube channel. It's $2.99 a month. That's it. And you get the video versions of some of our Patreon bonus shows, like TRN Classics. Every TRN Classics goes up in video format here on the YouTube channel. So if you want to keep watching us, join as a member right now, and you can watch right now the most recent Top Rope Nation Classics next. It's here for members. We reviewed Saturday night's main event from November. The air date was November of 1992. It was the last of the original run of Saturday night's main events. So that was, I think, the 31st edition of that show. We had a lot of fun recording that last week. It's here for members and also over on the Patreon page. And more bonus content going up each and every month. You guys make it all possible. So thank you for the support, everybody. And appreciate you guys as well. Thank you, Sean. Oh, that's Dante. Okay.
Yeah, I
saw
didn't
the
know
username.
that.
I didn't realize that was Dante. Dante, yeah, that's why you said you liked the shout out earlier when I read your comment from the Patreon page. There we go. Appreciate having you here, Dante. Hopefully
keep
your
healing up,
health
man.
is recovering. Yeah, absolutely.
Any
All right,
type
guys.
of distractions we can give you and ourselves as well. So thank you, Dante.
Yeah.
A lot more of that coming in the months ahead, you guys. Bonus shows here on the main feed. Some other things that are in the works that you're going to be hearing about real soon. A little teaser there for that. I'll talk off air with these guys about that. Some things are in the works. Stay tuned. Appreciate your support, everybody. We'll see everyone next time. Have a great weekend, everyone, and take care.